Hey, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Brothers-in-law. It's your boy Corey T, along with my homeboy from another mother, Mr. Michael Bradley. Those of you who are new to our channel, Mike and I are both former law enforcement police officers. I was a Virginia State Trooper for 7 years here in the great state of Virginia, and Mike was is a 26-year retired veteran police officer out of Pleasanton, California. So we'd like to welcome you all for joining us tonight. We are the Brothers-in-law. Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Nothing much. We got a good one lined up for you guys today. Hey, Goat. I see you, Stacy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all.
We missing Tone this week.
I know he ain't jumped on here yet, but we early yet. We got some folks over there on Facebook checking us out. And we got a few here on YouTube. So welcome everybody. We got a good show lined up tonight. Good discussion. Hey, what's up, Seiko?
I see you, Seiko.
On here. Thank you for joining us, my brother. But yeah, we got a good one lined up. In fact, Seiko tagged us in this video we talking about tonight. Police vehicle was hit by a train while a woman was stuck inside. And so you might ask, well, how is that even possible happening? Well, it did. And Mike gonna break that video down. And we're gonna talk about, and that's the thing about us. If you never checked out our shows before, Mike and I are gonna let you know how it is from two brothers, former police officers that just happen to be black. And if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. We're gonna let you know. We're not gonna sugarcoat anything. Mike and I agree on a lot of things, but we also disagree on a lot of things. But I think tonight you'll find us on the same page on this one. I've been waiting for this one too, Seiko. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right?
I mean, cops make dumb mistakes just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, these dumb mistakes can cost somebody either their life or some serious injuries. You see what I'm saying? So you got to point that out when you see it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now, and one thing I want to make clear though too, and you hit it, Mike. Police make mistakes. We have to keep in our minds, in our heads, that we are humans. We made mistakes, and I'm sure just as well as I can admit, as a trooper, I made some mistakes. Mike, I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing. You're 26 years of service that you made mistakes, and you probably look back at it now. It's like, man, that was really a boneheaded mistake. Well, we're human. And just because you're a law enforcement don't mean you're perfect. Don't mean you're going to get every single incident correct. You're going to make mistakes along the way back because we're human. But the community relies on us to get it right because we're dealing with people's civil liberties. Right? It's crazy. As a law enforcement officer, you have the right to take somebody's constitutional rights away from them, and you have the right to use deadly force when deadly force is authorized, right? And those are huge. Those are huge.
When people don't like when you take power away from them. You know what I'm saying?
No,
generally people don't like that. They don't respond well to their rights or their freedom being taken away from them.
Taken away from them, right? Yeah, and so you putting all that pressure. You're putting all that pressure and all that responsibility on that officer to go out here and every single incident that they get involved in, we're expecting them to get it right every single time. That's a lot of that. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. So you guys say, well, why didn't they have training? Don't they train on how to stop vehicles? Yeah, we do train on that. We talked, Mike, before we started the show, we talked about tactical awareness and tactical situations and having your head always being kept on a swivel. In our daily lives, we don't even do that. But military folks and law enforcement, you expect us to react differently and to be more professional when we get into these situations. But again, it's that human aspect of us that always kicks in, and we make dumb mistakes. And how do we fix that, Mike?
Yeah, you fix it by training. You fix it by reviewing video and learning from it. I mean, that was a regular thing when I was an officer. Is during our briefings, we would always pick whatever incident we saw that week or whatever was going on. We would view the video in briefing and talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of situations where officers can get into or they can't necessarily train for, but they can. You might come into something. And you might, it's a good opportunity to look at some video and critique what's going on. So, yes, folks, officers do critique each other. We do look at other officers and what they did in any given situation. And we think of what did they do wrong or how could it have been done better if it could have been done better at all, you know?
Right.
So we do use that opportunity in briefings to train like that. That is also a form of training. You know what I'm saying? I love looking at videos and figuring out, would I have done that way or would I have done it a different way?
Yeah, we're going to jump into the video. And again, thank you for all those who just jumping on, joining us tonight. Welcome. And we're talking about the an incident occurred back on September 16th in Colorado, where a woman was handcuffed and placed in the police vehicle and then hit by a train. And one of the things, Mike, that I've always keep hearing about is people saying training. Want the officers train? Yeah, the officers train. We go through academy. But when you talk about continuous training, you're talking a lot of planning because you got to look at manning. You got to look at road coverage. You got to look who's going on vacation. You got to look who's in training. And if you don't have the right numbers, then you can't just start yanking people off the road and tell them to go, you got to go to training here and there, who's going to answer all the calls for service. Right. So it's not
I agree. At the same time, obviously, though, training is important. Officers need ongoing training. Some departments have more training than others. Some departments manage their workload versus training easier than other departments. Some departments may not be, like you said, Corey, some departments may not be able to train that much because they don't have the manpower to do it so often. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In my department, I feel that we did have a lot of training. I feel that we did train a good amount of time. And like I said, we did some form of training.
What's up, Tone?
Every day. Hey, Tone.
Yeah.
So yeah, training is important. I mean, we ain't trying to downplay that at all. Training is
no
a priority.
But I don't think citizens look at it like that. I'm not sure if they want the officers to be in more training because you got to look at the manning that you have. Like we and matter of fact, we'll talk about it as we get into the video because we keep talking, Mike, we'll never get into the video. So again, this happened back on September 16th in Colorado. Lady was being handcuffed, and Seiko, that's a good point. Had she been black, it might be a different story. Was handcuffed and placed in the back of the police vehicle that was left on the train tracks. And you'll see what happened in the end here. So we're going to jump right into it. Actually, I took it off the screen. Now I got to go back to share. Hold on. My bad. Oh. And before we jump in, let's remember to keep the folks down in Florida in our prayers tonight as they go through the storm.
Yeah, it's a mess down there.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Dispatch Lupton 346, one at gunpoint.
Driver, let me see your hand. Let me see your hands.
Keep your hands up. Keep coming back. Keep coming back to the sound of my voice. Keep coming back.
They're doing what is called a high-risk traffic stop, folks.
Stop right there.
Why? What? Do you have anything on you that's going to poke me, stick me, hurt me? No, ma'am, but can I please get my cell phone? We'll get your cell phone in a second. Is there any weapons in the car?
Ready?
No, ma'am, there's nothing on. There's no weapons in the car? No, ma'am. Okay.
Everybody out in the car, come on.
What's What's going on? Ma'am, what's going on? I'll tell you in a second. I'm so confused. Can I get my cell? I will get your cell phone for you. Take a seat.
I see a car seat. Clear. Okay, let's get the bed. Yeah, you drop it. I'll hold it. I'll come across. Clear.
Time check. Oh my god.
Move your car. Stay back.
And there's a dash cam.
Dispatch, subject 346. Status medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
Watch the fence.
And that vehicle was just mangled by the train.
I'm surprised that woman in the back was still alive. Tell you the truth.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, she had
Yes, they go there. It's all fired. Something's gonna happen. That's for sure. I mean, where do you start?
Yeah. So I mean, I have no problem of the high risk stop. I think because you heard the one officer on the intercom. Now, if that were me, I would have realized, because I'm one of them paranoid type people anyway. So I'd have been like, hey, driver the vehicle, slowly move your vehicle up 20 feet to the right to get off the railroad tracks. That would have gave the officer clearance to get. That's one of the first things. Again, when you activate those lights and sirens, folks, one of the first things that always went through my mind is where I'm at and where I can stop them safely. And because I had to, when we activate those lights, your safety is now in my hands, right? So I had to your mind as an officer is going so fast. You're thinking continuously always about the what is. Well, what if this happened? What has happened? What should I do here? Your mind is going, right, Mike? 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. You're thinking about all that stuff on the traffic stop.
Right. So you have to get yourself in a mindset to whereas, you have to control your emotions, or you got to control that adrenaline going up and down. And a lot of times when I would get into something like that, before I got out the car, Mike, I would always do what we was taught in combat, was do what we call combat breathing. And Goat can attest to this. And we did it a lot in training, especially when we were doing close quarter combat training. So you want to take that deep breath because you get tunnel vision. And when you get tunnel vision, and basically tunnel vision is you just seeing right what's ahead of you. Your wide vision now gets narrow, right? And so you kind of don't have that peripheral vision. You no longer have what we call 360 vision. So you get tunnel vision and you only focusing on one thing instead of relaxing and getting your emotions down, that adrenaline down, and now you can see a bigger picture. Well, that's the only reason why I can say you make a dumb mistake like this is you lost your focus. You lost your situational awareness to the point that even when the train sounded, everybody froze. and when you're in situations like this, you can't freeze up. You gotta react, and you gotta react now, right? What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, what like I said, where do you start on this? I mean, for me as an officer, this would be common sense. Soon as you stopped on the railroad on the train tracks, common sense would tell you, okay, before we do anything else, let me get into a position where I can move my car off the train tracks. Okay, that's common sense, folks. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Move off the train. And if it's a situation where you are stuck where you maybe possibly can't move the vehicle and then it's stuck on a train tracks, how about letting the dispatch know to call the railroad company, let them know we got officers on the tracks, and to hold up any train traffic that's coming to that in that area. Dispatchers, police dispatchers should be able to do that. Now, I can't speak for this particular dispatch in this particular area, but I'd like to think, police dispatchers in other areas also can contact the railroad company and let them know to stop the trains. That's the first thing if you ever get stuck on the track like that. Okay. But the second thing is, like you said, Corey, you got to think, move up a little bit, tell the person that you're stopping on the speaker to say, move forward 20 feet or so, or to get you off the track. The point is, it's common sense, if you can help it, not to stop on the tracks. It's common sense as an officer to say, okay, something real bad could happen here if I stay on these tracks like that. You see what I'm saying? Come on. I mean, what are we talking about here? I'm sorry, but Seiko said it best. This lady gonna own the city, and she should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't stop your patrol car on the tracks and not think about it. Now, I understand you're doing a high-risk stop. I understand it. I ain't talking about that. I ain't got no problem with the high-risk stop for whatever reason that is. Okay? But, okay, high-risk stop, call the railroad company, stop all trains on that track, period. Or move off the train. Now,
even if you don't even go to that whole thing, because I'm gonna give a little bit of leeway on there that there may have been a chance that they didn't know to call the railroad tracks. I'm more leaning towards it's three officers out there, 2 males and 1 female. 2 you were clearing. That one officer, the female, who put the other female in the car, should have been the one to move that vehicle off the tracks. It should have been a no-brainer, because while the 2 who should be in a little heightened, more situational awareness because they're conducting the search, she's all right. You're good. Your adrenaline is down now, right? You can tell in her voice she wasn't amped up or anything. Patted the young lady down and put her in the vehicle. She should have hopped right in there. Oh, let me get this vehicle off the tracks.
Exactly.
And move it, either backed it up or move it forward. Hey guys, I'm gonna move this vehicle. Cause see, here's another thing, and we talked about it before we started the show. And Mike, your department is definitely a lot different. Our keys didn't match each vehicle, but one thing we always did when we went on a stop, now, we left our vehicles running, right? So if something like this did happen, if my vehicle had to get moved, it was always, hey, Taylor, I'm going to move your vehicle. All right, cool, good. Right? Somebody's always thinking.
That's a good one, Seiko. They must have been trained by Roscoe Pico.
Yeah. They must have been. I mean,
I'm sorry, folks. We laughing because this is so outrageous to us that nowhere are we trying to make light of this situation. This is a very serious situation. This woman is lucky that she's still alive. Okay. She did get severely injured, though. You know what I'm saying? You're right, Corey. Now, see, in our department, we did have, if this was a situation where you can't access the car, okay, we did have all our patrol keys fit the whatever patrol car. So I could move any other officer's patrol car at any moment in time with my key, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? You're right. That female officer, that should have been the first thing, is to, oh, let me move this patrol car off the track. I mean, I'd like to think that's common sense. But like you say, Proverbs was saying, some of these small towns, if you will, they panic and they don't have the resources or don't have the training to even think like that. You know what I'm saying? You're probably right. You know what I'm saying? Now,
yeah, but part of that, Mike, like we also said too, you always have to be thinking, like as an officer, when you're riding around your area, your area of responsibility, you always need to be thinking about what if this happens, what am I going to do? And I would always go behind, when I worked midnight shift, I would always go behind our building, and would do drills myself. Like I mentioned before on a few shows before, when I'm at home by myself, I'll practice room clearance. Even though I'm no more longer in law enforcement, but it's a skill set that we have, and it's a skill set that I have to keep sharp, right? Because I'm always in the mindset of I never know when I'm gonna have to use that skill set, and if I do, I need to be ready. So when we talk about training, you have your annual training, you have your regular monthly training that we do, which typically is really all done through the computer. A lot of your DCGS qualifications that you have to do are on a yearly base or a 2-year cycle. And usually we go back, we call it in service, where we go back to the academy for a week and we go get recertified on certain things. But everything is always different. So every time we went to in service training, it was always a different type of training because your qualifications overlap. So, 1 year you may go up there and you may do defensive tactics. Well, then the next time you go up there, you're doing driving, right? Or you're doing handcuffing or something else. You're not always doing the same thing every time you go to in service. Outside of that, any additional training that you do is on your own, right? If you want to practice shooting at the range, well, you got to go on your own off time to go to the range to practice on your shooting. Or, you sit in your car, it's a slow night, call volume is low, and you go back to the office like I used to do, and you go in the back of your office and you practice certain type of drills in your car, getting out of your car, drawing, whatever. But it's you have to, in these type of situations, the way you ensure something like this doesn't happen, you have to have your head on a swivel, point blank. You can't get overexcited, if you will, and that's when you start making stupid mistakes, when you get that tunnel vision and you're not seeing a clear picture.
Yeah. And Carol makes the point. She says, do you think because it was dark out and adrenaline was going, they never thought about it? Very possible. But I mean, that's, in my opinion, Carol, that seems to me should have been the very first thing on your mind when your patrol car is on the tracks and ain't nobody, thinking about a train coming. That to me, that's common sense. I just can't get past that. You see what I'm saying? Moving your car off the tracks is like common sense. Tone is right. One of the major tickets out here in California that's highly enforced by law enforcement is stopping on the tracks. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a whole lot of railroad tracks like some other Midwestern states do. But that he's right about that. I mean, I just can't grab that I would forget to move my patrol car off the track. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that was standing behind there hearing the train horn with the rifle in his hand, he had time to jump in there real quick and move that thing off the track. He must have panicked or something.
That's what I'm saying. He had a panic because it's like they all froze. And then by the time they realized the train was there, it was too late.
Or how about going up to the car and getting the girl out, the handcuffed subject out of the car?
How about just getting her out?
Just go grab her. If you didn't want to jump in the car and move it, go grab her. Right. You gotta be thinking like that. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just common sense for me, Corey. You know what I'm saying?
It is. That's, we always just say you fight like you train like you fight. And every situation you go into, when you put into a certain situation, I should say, you want that training to kick in. You want to be able, and that's, it's just all repetition. And that's why I say I'm always doing something, because it has to become second nature to you. When danger strikes, it should be your natural instinct to react.
Now
You
I'm
know,
gonna play devil's advocate. You know I like to play devil's advocate.
right? They had the deer in the headlight. Look, right, Carol.
I mean,
Exactly.
I hear you. That's right, Carol. I hear you about training. Training is important, the number one, right? But this is common sense. You shouldn't have to train to move your patrol car off the tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but,
Now,
but it's the
now
training.
training
It's
comes
the
into
training.
play.
It's the training, Mike, that's gonna cause you to react.
I agree with that, and I understand that. However, common sense plays a role too. Parking your patrol car on the tracks is common sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
That's how I look
common
at it.
sense.
I understand training comes into play when you're talking about a high-risk traffic stop and how you conduct it. If you end up on the tracks in a high-risk traffic stop, I could see you saying your training should kick in, and your training should tell you, okay, look at my environment, look at my surroundings. Am I safe where I am? Is the subject that I'm stopping safe where they are? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, training definitely kicks in when you talk about that. You got to know how to do a high-risk traffic stop. You got to know where to do a high-risk traffic stop. And you got to know all the elements that come along with that. I definitely agree with that. Okay. But if your car is on the tracks, I mean, that's like you say, that's common sense. Well, let me move my car off the tracks at least.
Well, hold up, bro. Back up to what I just said earlier. When you activate those lights and sirens, that's your first thought process: is where am I stopping this vehicle?
Okay, yeah.
That's the first thing you thinking about.
Yeah.
Because if all else fails, I mean, because there's plenty of times we stopped somewhere that just wasn't a safe, they might have just stopped, in a center median, or stopped in the turn going around the road, or whatever. It wasn't safe. I would get on that. I would do two things. Either I get out my car real quick, run up to them, hey, pull over to the left shoulder real quick, or to the right shoulder right here. Or I get on the speaker system, hey, driver, pull your car over 20 feet to the right, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
You were always thinking that, but that's training. Right? Yes, you would think, you would think it's common sense. You would think it's common sense that it's no brainer. Hey, I really shouldn't be, that's driving one-on-one, because you're taught that in driver's ed, not to stop on a railroad tracks, right? Right? We're all taught that.
And look what Stacy says. Of course, I agree with you, Stacy. I mean, I wouldn't know not to stop on train tracks. I hear you. I hear you on that.
100%. Right? I'm not making no excuses. Don't get me wrong, y'all.
No,
I'm not making no excuses for what these officers have done. I'm saying in the event it's something, it was a boneheaded mistake. There's no sugarcoating that. That was a very foolish mistake they did, right? When we could probably, Monday morning quarterback this, to now till our Lord and Savior comes back home to get us, because we weren't there. I know what I've done, because I've been in similar situations, not on the railroad tracks, but in dangerous high-vis stops, to where it's like, okay, hey, we got to get vehicles moving. That was almost like second nature to us, because, when we work crashes, bad crashes on the interstate, your number one thought process is get these vehicles off to the show to get traffic moving, make it safe. Your number one thing is make the scene safe, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So that could be, again, like somebody said, I gotta find that somebody posted, I think it was Proverbs said earlier, he said earlier, when some of these hillbilly towns have nothing going on, the most stressful thing they deal with is what's for lunch. Right? Yeah, we did too, but when something really happens, they're not prepared. Right?
Yeah,
because
that's true.
That's that continuous training, right? Why aren't they? Are they getting trained? What's the training cycle like?
But I'm sure their training says don't park your police car on the tracks.
I'm pretty sure it does too. I'm not disagreeing with you there, bruh.
I hear you. I'm just saying. I mean, I hear you. I agree. Training is important. Training is what makes you, like Proverbs was saying, makes you prepared if something really happens. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. Repetitive training makes you think that way. Like you said a little earlier, Corey, that should have been the first thing on your mind when you even initiating the stop. Is where am I going to stop this person? Where am I going to be when I stop? High risk traffic stop. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. Sorry for my camera falling back here, but a high risk traffic stop, I understand that. You know, you need to know and understand where you plan to do that high risk traffic stop. Now, here's the thing, though, Corey. All that is important in the beginning of this stop in this video. It wasn't until they started to hear that sound, the horn sound of the train, that somebody realized, oh, my car is on the track. It's like they weren't even thinking about that car being on the track until they heard the horn of that train. Now, my thing is, once you heard that horn of the train, how did you freeze up so much that no one thought to jump in the car and move it, take the subject out of the patrol car or anything like that? That's my problem that we have here, obviously, is in that moment when someone heard that train coming, they still had time, plenty of time to move that car off the tracks. And now the question that I have is, why didn't they just simply move the car off the tracks when they first heard the train coming?
Yeah. What do you guys think, audience? Do you think it was just a lack of training? Do you think they allowed their adrenaline to get the best of them to whereas they lost their focus? What do you all think? Drop us a comment down in the comments and let us know what you think. We like to hear your thoughts on this, and we like to thank everybody again for joining us tonight. We're talking about, if you're jumping on here late, we're talking about the police vehicle that was hit by a train with a handcuffed woman on the inside who, thank the Lord, survived it. She was severely injured, but however, she did survive. You know, it's a sad situation. You know, it seems, you know, like every day we turn on the TV or listen to the radio, it's another sad incident that happens. You know, is it the level of the or I said the quality of the officers that they're hiring now, Mike, or is it a problem with the training? What do you think?
You know, in this situation, I think they just had a dumb brain freeze, for lack of better words. You know what I'm saying? What the tone? I see you, Seiko. I wonder if this is the first time they've done something similarly dangerous before. Probably not. Probably not. And Tone says, playing devil's advocate. You know, I like to play devil's advocate too, Tone. After this incident, in your earlier episodes of traffic stops in a dark location, can you blame the person being pulled over trying to find a location that was lighted? Now, that's a little different, Tone. That's a little different. Because what I won't encourage people to do is take it upon themselves to drive a mile down the road before they decide to stop. I wouldn't encourage a citizen to do that. If you see those lights and siren behind, especially if you see the whoop whoop. We said that before on one show, Corey. Whoop, whoop, whoop. If you hear that whoop whoop, it's time to pull over immediately. Okay. As far as the right-hand side of the road as possible. That officer will light that area up with the spotlights, the emergency lights, the headlights. We got so many lights on them cars, our flashlights, that we're going to light that area up. So even if you stop in a dark spot, we're going to light that area up for our safety. That's the number one thing, is number one safety thing they train in the academy or any training in police work as far as traffic stops go in the dark. The first thing in training is you know this, Corey, you light that sucker up. Okay, light them up, light everything up so you can see everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And if we need you to move at that point because we feel that scenario or that environment or the location where you stopped is too dangerous, we will come up to your car and tell you, or get on the loudspeaker and tell you to move exactly what to do. But I would never encourage citizens to just take it upon themselves to just keep driving until they figure out where they feel is safe to stop. You know what I'm saying?
That opens up another whole can of worms situation that you don't want to put yourself in. It's something now that could just been a simple traffic infraction now turns into an eluding, which used to be a felony charge here, but now it's knocked down to a misdemeanor. But however, you don't want that to happen. Stop, let the officer determine if it's safe or not and move. Or, I mean, you can all, hey, officer, you think we should move? And let them
Ain't
stay
nothing
there.
wrong with that.
You know, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm always gonna move because I always want to be in the safe spot. I want the citizen to be safe. So I ain't ever had no problem moving folks out the way. Proverbs 17:11 says he's on the job in New York. Well, hey, New York in the house.
All right.
I wouldn't even know what to do with the car on the train track. Our tracks run underground. Yeah,
that's New York for
yeah,
you, right? They
yeah,
all
New York.
underground. You ain't got to worry about that, huh?
It's a whole nother city underground. That's a whole nother city they got. But yeah, mom says common sense. Yep. Yeah, Tone, let the officers dictate that. I think we talked about that in our very first video that we did starting off the brothers-in-law, what to do during a traffic stop. You know, you don't want to add more to it than what's already there. Now, again, this was a high vis stop. So, you know, they took it upon themselves to stop that vehicle right then and there, but somebody should have had their head on a swivel. Not everybody can be, you know, mindset can be going 100 miles an hour and nobody's keeping situational awareness or what's going on, particularly when you got the car stopped in an unsafe area. So, you know, it happened. It was a bonehead mistake. Believe me, this has been talked about in a lot of offices, police precincts across this country. I guarantee.
Oh yeah,
because that's one of the things we used to do too, Mike. Is when we'd have us, and we all disagree. We wouldn't agree on every situation that involved just
There's
because
more than one way to skin the cat. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was gonna say, well, you know, because everybody would say, hey, well, you know, you guys all stick together. No, because you got the bunch of officers that would tell you, hey, you messed up and you making us look bad.
And let me tell you, folks, cops don't want to be in a position where they on the news because they did something wrong. We try to make sure we train or critique something to make sure we ain't the next one setting case law. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to be in that position where we are doing something stupid or something that is, you know, unsafe or anything like that. We want to be safe and sound and make sure we are doing our jobs tactically sound. You see what I'm saying? So we don't want to be that next officer that's everybody looking at to say, man, you messed that up. So we ain't sticking up for each other in that sense. If anything, we sticking up for the fact that we want to make sure that don't happen to you, to the next officer. Don't do this, officer. Do this. You see what I'm saying?
But typically, Mike, I mean, we'd always have one officer there, one trooper there that always had that one level head person there. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and move your car. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Hey, somebody was always taking charge. Hey, let's go do this. Because again, we were different than city cops. Our supervisors didn't show up on scene, so it really fell on the troopers, like, to look out for each other while we were out there on the side of the road. Hey, Corey, I'm gonna move your car. Hey, I'm gonna do this. All right, I got you. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You know, you have to look out for one another. Somebody always has to have a level head. Everybody can't be running 120 miles an hour and trying to be a superhero in here. And Carol, no, I have not heard of any of them making a statement about this. I'd be interested to know what their thought process was during this incident. You know, did they freeze up? Did they just? I mean, I know that they have to be hurting. they have to be feeling the effects of this. Like, yeah, damn it, man, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? You know, why? I'm sure they're beating themselves up mentally. I can assure you they're not, you know, sitting around at home laughing, coking, you know, yeah, we look, you know, if that were me, I'd be tore from the floor. Like, God, dog, why? You know what I mean, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I definitely would be thinking at minimum, be thinking of what I could have done differently and make sure I don't do that same thing again, right?
For sure.
Before I forget, one more point I want to elaborate on what Tone said about the devil's advocate, about stopping in a dark location. Tone, I do understand why a citizen might feel that they don't want to stop in this dark space because they don't feel safe. I understand that as an officer, but what you got to take into consideration is what might be reasonable to that particular officer that's trying to pull you over may be different from what you think is reasonable. You see what I'm saying? So you can never be exactly on the same page with the officer that's trying to pull you over. Now, according to the law, you know, the vehicle code, when you see those emergency lights behind you, you immediately pull over to the right-hand side of the road and stop. No matter where you are. I mean, there are certain things you don't stop, like in front of a driver's driveway of a fire station or something like that. In California, you can't do that. Stop in front of the driveway.
Same here.
Or something like that. But for the most part, it's you are instructed to immediately pull over. Now, if you keep driving down the road and that officer feels that you, for some reason, aren't stopping, or he or she may not have the same perception that you have as far as that place being an unsafe place. That's why we wouldn't encourage citizens to take it upon themselves just to keep driving until they found some place to stop, because you don't know what that officer is thinking. You don't even know why that officer's pulling you over in that area, why he's pulling you over at all. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to take matters into your own hands and dictate where you're going to stop. Let the officer dictate where you're going to stop.
And I would say she's going to be, like Seiko said earlier, she's definitely going to end up with the keys to this city. She's
as well she should. Yeah,
as well she should. Now, and in any case, I'm not even sure if she was the one that they were looking for in this incident. I know it was alleged that she was involved in possible road rage and had a weapon, and they were assuming that she threw the weapon out the vehicle, which is when they were standing around and they talking. They heard the whistle of the train, and I think that startled them more than anything. It was like I think they probably thought they might have had enough time to get the vehicle off the tracks, and then they realized how close it really was, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, true.
Do I get in here and get it? Like, well, you know, hey, I ain't jumping in that car and getting hit. You know, was that their thought process? I don't know. Could have been, you know. But it's a sad situation all the way around. But yeah, she's gonna get paid for sure. She's gonna get.
And I hear you, Tone. Tone says he agrees that there's a lot of history going on being stopped in a dark location. I hear you, Tone. But look at it this way. What if you are on the highway and maybe it's dark or whatever? Out in California, you got to be out in the country probably for that to happen. But at any rate, what if you are miles and miles away from a well-lit area? You see what I'm saying? You don't want to. Where does it cut off? You can't drive 10 miles down the road before you decide to pull over with those emergency lights behind you. You can't drive 5 miles down the road. You can't drive home. You don't want, you don't want to do that. You know, so you always, I would always encourage you to follow the vehicle code. That test you took when you got your license is pull over to the right-hand side of the road immediately. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Now, it's going to be up to that individual officer to determine if you just are not trying to stop. See, you got to understand, officers come across a lot of different people. You might not stop because maybe you a sovereign citizen and don't feel you have to stop. Maybe you don't hear or see our emergency lights behind you. Maybe you are high or something and don't care that our police lights are behind you. Maybe you are a suspect in a crime that just committed and you don't want to stop. You don't have to be driving 100 miles an hour for us to perceive that this is something that you're trying not to stop for us. You see what I'm saying? It's not like TV where it's the high speed chase all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe you are an elderly person who really don't know what to do, and you are just driving, 25 miles an hour down the roadway, and you afraid, don't want to stop. Now it's up to that officer to try to figure out what situation he or she has there, why this person isn't stopping. You don't want to put an officer in that position. Just pull on over to the right-hand side of the roadway, dark or not. Remember, in a dark location, we will light that area up very bright and then tell you to move. We don't want you to drive 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 miles down the road before you stop. What if you drive out of jurisdiction? You know what I'm saying? What if you continue to drive and you end up in an area that is outside that officer's jurisdiction and that officer isn't too familiar with that area? Well, now you've made it unsafe for that officer. You see what I'm saying? Unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm driving in an area that I might not be familiar with, you know what I'm saying? Which is not what I'm trying to do. I tried to stop you where I wanted to stop you. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's all. It's just a lot that goes into that, Tone.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It was all good points. Carol says all this transpired because she was a suspect of a crime. Yeah, allegedly. I believe it was a road rage. A weapon was brandished. I'm not sure if shots had been fired, but apparently, yeah, she was a subject to a road rage crime that took place somewhere on that road, and they were doing the stop, and that's how it all happened. Sad situation, like we said, but this was wrong. There's no sugarcoating this one. I don't have nothing good to really say about it. It was wrong. Did they do this intentionally? No, it wasn't intentional.
No,
it was just a boneheaded mistake.
Yeah,
Huge mistake that's gonna cost them their jobs and cost that city a lot of money. So, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up tonight, y'all. We thank y'all for joining us tonight. We hope you found some value in this. That hey, police officers are human too. They make some mistakes just like we all do, and well, they will be held accountable. There's really no way around this one. I mean, I'm gonna keep an eye out on this one and make sure to see what the outcome of it is. Because, like you, Kara, I like to know what their thought process was. So,
Tone says real quick.
I don't know if the suspect was ever arrested. They never said, but that's neither here or there. I mean, even she would suspect. I doubt she get charged out just now.
Yeah, I bet whatever it was, I'm sure they dropped all the charges probably with that after that. Yeah, unless there was some other victim or something. I'm not sure what happened there, but
for sure. So go ahead and hit that like button before you leave over there on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube here, hit that like button for us here. Share this out to your friends and family, and have a discussion with them about it. Check us out next week. We'll be back with another video, and we thank you all for joining us, and we will see y'all all next week. Mike.
Yep. You guys have a good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. So for those of you at work, Friday is the end of the week. I know you're looking forward to that weekend.
Yes, sir.
You guys take care. Be safe out there. Peace out.
Peace out.